Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Tim at 10 today. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. You're getting ready to wrap up the school year, wrap up the month of May, and get ready to move on into this summer. I'm super excited about our topic today. This has been a highly requested topic for us, so hope you enjoy it. This is entirely based on experience. And kind of my journey of creating our school family in our schools and the success that we have achieved. So that's kind of what this is all about right here. This is just going to be me sharing a lot of what we have done, in the past in our schools. So good morning to everyone that is hopping on. Good to see you. Oh, look at that. I see some friends that don't get to join us very often because they're always so incredibly busy, but somehow you snuck on this morning. Super awesome. Yay. All right, let's go ahead and get started because we got quite a bit to cover in our short amount of time this morning. Before we get going, let's just kind of go over our typical training tips right here. This training has been approved by the Texas Early Childhood Professional Development System. So make sure that you enter your personal TechPeds ID number on your Tim the Trainer portal before you complete your assessment at the end of this webinar. That way your training certificate will be uploaded into your TechPeds account and automatically verified. That is very, very helpful for everyone. Always remember that any of the trainings that we do here at Tim the Trainer, not just this one today, you can always message us on our website up in the top right hand corner. You can send a direct message, you can call, you can email with any questions that you have about today's training, or if you need more information beyond the scope of the training material, we are always here for you. And again, that's not just for this training, that's for any training that we have on our website. One last thing, again, just wanting to make sure you have a good relationship with child care regulations. Clock hours of training must be completed in a reasonable amount of time. The way I like to define that is that you cannot complete more clock hours of training in one single day than the total number of hours that you worked in that day. Definitely cannot complete more clock hours of training than there are hours in a day. Y'all, and we see this all the time on our website, and I just have to send you well wishes because you're going to run into issues with licensing whenever you allow your employees to do that. So just want y'all to be careful right there. Our objectives for today, we're going to talk about what is a school family, who is included in the school family, and how each one of those groups contribute to the overall compassion that a school family has. We're going to talk about how this benefits the children whenever you have a united school family. Definitely we'll talk about that. And how creating an emotionally healthy school family contributes to employee retention and reduces employee turnover. So those are our objectives for this training today. I do need to give a little bit of a disclaimer before we get started right here. This training today is not a conscious discipline training. All right, so I need to make sure that that is very, very clear. This is not a conscious discipline training. This training today is based on my experiences operating our schools and growing our school family. However, I will give a lot of credit to conscious discipline and our journey through the adult transformational process over the last 14 to 15 years. You are going to see several things in here that are conscious discipline related. If you need more information, you can always go to consciousdiscipline.com and get more information about the structures, the powers, the skills, the rituals, all of that good stuff. But again, this is not a conscious discipline training. Want to make sure that is very clear. Also want to give credit to Life is Good. Many of you are familiar with lifeisgood.com. They normally are known as a t-shirt company that sells lots of positive and optimistic t-shirts, but they also have a nonprofit side of their business called the Life is Good Playmaker Project that helps support children with trauma, and they do a lot of training and professional development for teachers so that they have the skills to support these children. They have a situation called Playmaker University. I strongly recommend you check out Playmaker University. You can just go to your internet search engine and you can find that. You can go through Playmaker University and become a Playmaker. We have had several of our school family members do this. We have used the Life is Good Superpower Kit in our program for many years. Incredible resource, and I've got to give them credit for helping us build our school family and making it as strong as it was, because the work that Life is Good does and the skills that they have lended us really was a huge asset to our organization. Last bit of credit and resource that I want to give to building that emotionally healthy school family is John Gordon. Y'all know John Gordon writes a lot of leadership books. We have been following John and reading his books for over 20 years now. A lot of his work, a lot of his reading contributes to our emotionally healthy school family, especially when it comes to building a positive team, being a positive leader, just being that positively contagious person in your school. We have done many book studies with our school family members on John Gordon books. So I wanted to make sure that I gave him the credit that he deserves for the success that we had building our school family. All right. So got to give credit where credit is due. All right. No one does this alone, for sure. All right. Today's goal. The overall goal today is for not only you, the leader, you, the teacher, whatever your position is in the school, all right? You could be an assistant teacher, a director, assistant director, an owner, operator, whatever your position may be. Everyone has to contribute equally to the building and the support of the school family, especially an emotionally healthy school family. We always have to be consciously aware of our inner state and how we look at people. All right? When you're working with the children, when you're working with each other, when you're working with the families, we've got to be curious, not judgmental. All right? We want to see people through curious eyes, not judgmental eyes. So we've got to change our intent. We got to focus on positive intent. All right? People must be seen different before they can act different. Children have to be seen different before they can act different. Adults have to be seen different before they can act different. All right? So you always have to keep those loving eyes available to you and be consciously aware of when you're not seeing someone through loving eyes. Every single person out there has a purpose. All right? They are on this planet for a particular reason. Everyone is meant to be here. Every child is meant to be here. All right? And every person that's working in your school is working at your school exactly when they're supposed to. Okay? And you have to keep that intent whenever you're building an emotionally healthy school family. All right? Every person that comes into your school, they're either a blessing or a lesson. Right? So what can we learn and how can we move forward from this experience right here? Okay? And I know that that's a lot of work and it's a lot of practice for sure. Okay? But you can do that. And I know there's a lot of lessons that are being learned every single day by the people that we interact with. Okay? This is your opportunity to lead. This is your opportunity to make a difference. All right? So let's kind of go ahead and jump in here. First off, when we talk about staff relationships, employee relationships, and we want to talk about creating that emotionally healthy school family, you always want to focus on building a compassionate, caring, and supportive school family. Your school family should be built on encouragement. This should be built into the job descriptions. This should be built into your employee and parent handbooks. Part of your philosophy statement, your mission statement, your values, all right? Encouragement, compassion, and caring environment. And everybody is expected to contribute to that, all right? And when you do have someone who is not contributing that positively contagious energy, that needs to be handled as a performance issue. But we want to recognize that and we want to celebrate that. One thing you're going to notice in today's presentation is lots and lots of real life pictures. Lots of real life pictures of both adults and children celebrating the united and equitable school family. All right. Now you just can't put this in your handbook and put it in your policies and put it in your job descriptions and expect it to happen. There are some other steps that we're going to take to get there. All right. You can't just snap your finger and say, boom, everyone's going to be encouraging and compassionate and caring. We have to earn that, and we have to lend those skills. All right. We have to practice those skills, and we can get there. We're going to talk about a lot of different tools that you can put in place, right, to help build that emotionally healthy school family right there. So we're right here. We're just talking about the employee relationships. We're going to come back to them. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about the other groups first. When we talk about who belongs to your school family, it's not just your employees. All right, your school family consists of the employees, the parents and guardians, the authorized pickups, the children, the community. If you have ancillary services like a gymnastics teacher or a sports coach that comes into your program, they're part of your school family. And any visitor or contractor that you bring into your program, you should be having this conversation with them. Before you come in and provide services to my school, let us explain, what a school family is. And by allowing you into our program, we are allowing you to be part of our family. All right? And we expect everyone to be treated that way. So kind of lay out that expectation with everyone. If you invite a senator to come visit your school, a representative to come visit your school, the mayor of your city or town, you invite to come visit your school. Before you walk them through your building, have that conversation. Hey, we are inviting you to be part of our school family. The moment you walk through this door and you walk these hallways, you're part of the family, right? You just got to continuously talk about it and spread that love, that energy, and that encouragement. So when we talk about parents being part of your school family right here, again, when you do your parent orientations, when you enroll a new family in your school, I always like to basically start the conversation with the school family and explain what that is. Now, I just got done teaching a 2-day class up in Illinois, and we had this really big conversation about this, and it was really good and really organic. It was pretty awesome. But, always keep in mind, people don't know what they don't know. All right. And you can't make the assumption that, people know what they should know. In the absence of communication, negativity fills the void, right? When we don't communicate, when we don't educate, when we don't mentor, people are going to fill in the gaps with negativity. All right. They're going to create their own stories, that type of thing. The conversation that I was having up in Illinois was about funding, on the federal level right there. and there was a lot of conversation about funding being cut, funding being excluded from the federal budget, but they didn't really tell us what the game plan was or what the intentions were, right? And so because that communication was left out, there was a lot of negativity that was thrown in there to fill the void, right? And then long story short, the funding did end up getting put into the federal budget, and so they had to clear the air right there. And that's just a recent, current event, but it's a fantastic example of how when you don't communicate, when you don't educate, right, people are going to make up their own stories. So when we're talking about parents being part of your school family, when mom and dad or guardian are dropping off in the morning, when mom and dad and guardian are picking up in the afternoon, right, they just get a snapshot of your program. They get a snapshot of your classroom. I've always, told my teachers and my administrators that during drop-off time and pickup time, you should have some of the best activities going on, right? Those meaningful connections, those positive interactions, those really awesome activities. Because whatever mom and dad sees when they're dropping off and picking up is what they think happens all day long, right? So you got to paint the picture. You got to paint the picture right here. Also kind of letting them know that everything that we do in our school is intentional, all right? When we talk about having a emotionally healthy school family, letting them know that a lot of our rituals and routines and our practices, there's theory, there's research, there's application behind everything that we do. It's all intentional, right? Now, as early educators, we know that the most important thing we can do with children 0 to 5 is play, right? But play has a different definition to us than it does, people that are not early educators, right? And for some people, play doesn't mean learning. And we know play does mean learning. So once again, here is our opportunity to educate, right? We learn best through visuals, okay? We learn best through visuals, and not just through visuals, but the sensory stimulation. And this is even true for adults, right? We can put posters up on the wall that have evidence of learning. We can do bulletin boards that have evidence of learning, but I like to create the books like you see on the screen right now so that they can touch it, they can feel it, they can hold it, right? They turn the pages so there's engagement, right? And that just has a completely different impact than just looking at something on the wall, all right? So, you can kind of create these parent routine books to help them understand their part in the school family, but then also understand the intention behind what we're going for in the classroom, all right? So, you can kind of see here a departure routine book. So what does it look like when mom and dad come and pick up their children? This is really important because with attachment styles, we want children to have secure, healthy attachment styles. The way a child reunites with their attachment figure, the way they separate from their attachment figure is extremely critical in the development of that healthy, secure attachment style, which becomes their mental model for relationships later in life. So, with that being said, both the classroom teacher, who is a healthy attachment figure, and the parent and guardian, who is also a healthy attachment figure, the way they reunite and separate from the children needs to be done in a healthy way. All right? So here's your educational opportunity. When we have an arrival routine book, when we have a departure routine book. And we have this available for parents to take a look at. When new families come into your program, you kind of go through this with them and you talk about attachment styles so that they can kind of understand, hey, it's really important that I end my phone call before I walk into that classroom to pick up my child. Or I need to be free of other distractions so that I can put my attention on reuniting with my child. That is so critical right there. All right. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but sometimes we have problems with parents remembering to sign their children in and sign their children out. Those of you that have taken my 5-day, director credential course, we talk a lot about, the most important documents in your business, your job descriptions, your policy manuals, and your sign in and out sheets, right? These are critical legal documents, documenting the moment in time when the child became your responsibility, when the child becomes the parent's responsibility, right? So, we've created a sign-in routine book with pictures to kind of help the parents see what the expectation is, but also get them to understand why this is so important. All right, and these are just 3 really simple examples. Feel free to create routine books for the adults, okay, as needed in your program right here. Now, of course, when we get to the classroom piece, lots and lots of routine books. We want to model, add visuals, and practice, right? If you have children with aggression, if you have children with special care needs, we like for them to have their own individual routine books that is made especially for them, okay? And y'all create this template, save it in your computer or whatnot, because you're gonna need to recreate these often, all right? Whether it's a parent routine book or a classroom routine book, whenever I go into a classroom, I wanna see these kind of worn and damaged and ripped up and snotted on, right? Because that means they're being used, all right? If I walk into a classroom or I walk into a school and they're perfect, they're probably not being used the way they're supposed to be, all right? So kind of keep that in mind. I just really quickly wanted to go through, a daily routine book that was created for a classroom. This is for an infant classroom. That's probably one of the classrooms where, parents really don't understand what is going on. So we want to make sure that they know what's going on throughout the day and what is the intention right here. So this is a very simple, casual daily routine book for an infant room. You can make this as professional as you want it to be. You can make these as casual as you want them to be. All right? Just kind of keep that in mind. Now you will notice as I go through this routine book, I did circle out children's faces just for privacy reasons, but we want to protect the children in those situations. So here is a very simple routine book that is available for parents to look at. And I also, let me just say this before I go in here. When a new family comes into your school, I like to share these daily routine books with the family as they're coming in. So once again, they can really understand what's happening throughout the day. You can give them a daily schedule that they can read, but putting pictures with that daily schedule, it's just completely different. It has a completely different impact right here. So here is the baby bears. That was the classroom name right here. Here's their daily routine. So arrival and center time from 6:30 to 8 as children are coming in. And you can kind of see mom dropping off the child. And so we can kind of touch on the the drop-off routine right there. They have their breakfast from 8 to 8:30. Story time and diaper time. You see the nice intimate picture of the teacher interacting and engaging and smiling at the child as she's changing the diaper. Outside and Bucky time. All right, let them know that we are taking the children outside so that they can get the vitamins from the sun when weather permits, right? If there is a sibling in the program and you have the ability for the sibling to interact with the younger child at some point during the day, I think that's really cool to be able to add in there. Nap time, center time, diaper time. You can see that in there. Lunchtime for those children eating table food. Learning activities, art time, diaper time. Once again, we're going back to nap time, center time, diaper time. Snack time for those children that are eating table food. They get an outdoor buggy time based on the tolerance level of the child. Music time. Okay, we always want to incorporate that music. We want to incorporate that physical activity when it's developmentally appropriate for the individual child. Once again, we go back to diaper time, and you see there's quite a bit of diaper time in here. So again, the parent is not making the assumption that my child only gets their diaper changed, 1 or 2 times a day. It's quite often throughout the day. More learning activities and art in the infant classroom right here. And then, of course, parent pickup time, center time, and you can kind of see that arrival or that departure, what that's going to look like for them as well. Okay, so once again, very simple, very casual daily schedule. You can see this doesn't take a whole lot of work. I've had schools that, again, their daily routine books are very, very casual and simple, like this one. I've also got schools that are that were perfectionist, and you could have published their their routine books. Again, totally up to you and your need. I use this example today. Because I had pictures of some of the more professional looking ones, but I decided to use this one today because I just wanted to show you this doesn't take a lot. All right, it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to put a lot of effort into it. All right, very cool. Then we kind of go in and we do the education on, how children are part of your school family and how children contribute to the caring and the compassion and the encouragement that we're going for right here. So really simple, board down here. Now, something that we've done, because in our schools, we really focused on supporting the social and emotional learning of the children. We really focused on resiliency skills and practicing resiliency skills with the children so that they had the skills needed when the world wasn't going their way, right? So the traditional circle time board with the calendar and the weather and the colors and the shapes and all that stuff, out of here, right? We did away with all of that stuff right there. It's in our Frog Street curriculum. It's in the creative curriculum that we use, all of that stuff. So our circle time boards looked a little bit more like this example, all right? Where, we recognize the children that are in attendance for the day. Anyone that is absent, we send them well wishes. We send positive energy out to anyone that's not present for the day. We want children to be of service to the other children. So they have classroom jobs that are appropriate for the individual age of that classroom. and the teacher is available to assist the children with their jobs. And when you talk about classroom jobs, they are not meant to benefit the teacher. Classroom jobs are for children to be of service to other children. All right, we want the acts of service right there. Their daily schedule in pictures so that they know what's going to happen throughout the day. Once again, model, add visuals, practice. You can see the little indicator down there showing where they're at in the day. All right. A picture of the safekeeper, which is the teacher, who is there to keep the children safe. Any celebrations that might be going on in that classroom for the week. It might be a child's birthday. It might be a parent or guardian's birthday. A special event in a family's life, right? And y'all celebrate everything. A child lost their tooth, right? Those type of things, but kind of have those celebrations out there. And then again, depending on the age of the group, you can have some classroom commitments. Normally in our early education classrooms, our classroom commitment is to keep it safe, right? And that's pretty much what we focus on right there. Once you get into older age groups, pre-K, K through 12, we can focus on making a commitment to using walking feet, a commitment to using soft hands, a commitment to using an inside voice. But again, that takes a little bit more development, a little bit more mature executive skills. Like I said, in early education, basically we make a commitment to keeping it safe, and we focus on safety, using the language of safety throughout the day, and that's what we look at. But bring children into the school family. Probably with the example that you're seeing right here, I think the two most important parts in relation to creating an emotionally healthy school family is the classroom jobs, so that the children are of service to each other, and the wish well, okay, the absent child ritual, and sending that child positive energy whenever they're out. It's making the children consciously aware when someone that is part of their family is not present, okay? And in that way, when they do come back, the next day or a couple of days later, the welcome back is there, the excitement that they're back is there, and that gives them a sense of belonging. It gives them a sense of purpose, all right? And it gets the children to feel that they are part of something bigger than them, okay? If you have children in your program that have special care needs, this is really good, all right? Really good. We always want to make sure that children have a felt sense of safety. Creating and building an emotionally healthy school family means that everybody feels safe, all right? Not just physically safe, but emotionally and mentally they feel safe, all right? So we're always going to focus on that secure, healthy attachment figure. Now, when we talk about a safe place, and a safe place is an area of the classroom where children can go whenever they need to feel safe, whenever they need to self-regulate, whenever they need to calm, right? And that is an area of the classroom that children choose to go to, right? It's not an area of the classroom that you send them to. If you send them to this area of the classroom, it becomes timeout, and that's what we want to avoid. Now, those of you working in infant, toddler, young 2-year-old classrooms, the adult is the safe place, all right? So you're not going to have an area of the classroom in those younger age groups for children to go to when they need to calm, when they need to feel safe. That's going to be the adult, okay? And that also means that the adult has to be available, okay? Available to be there for that child when they are in distress, Okay, so we always want to recognize, the teacher, the caregiver in these younger age groups. They are the safekeeper. All right, they are the safekeeper. Now, once you get into your preschool classrooms, you can start developing that area of the classroom where children can go to feel safe. But in a preschool classroom, they're going to be joined by the adult. All right, because the adult is going to need to co-regulate the child. Again, they're going to need that attachment, that attunement to help them feel safe right here. This is a picture of my wonderful friend Kim Jackson. Kim does an amazing job of getting children to feel safe and loved in her classrooms. So thank you, Kim, for letting me use this picture. But you can just tell by her presence that, just anyone that is around her feels safe. And that's how we want our children to feel when they're in the classroom with you, when they're in the classroom with, your teachers right there. But still in the preschool age groups, they need the adult, okay, to help them feel safe and to co-regulate. Now, once you get into your pre-kindergarten classrooms, your K through 12, then it can be independent, all right? And you can put different tools in your area to help children feel safe, to help children regulate, right? Again, this is creating that emotionally healthy environment, that emotionally healthy family right there. And even though I say that this can be an independent area, what we really like to see here is when the children are supporting each other, all right? Instead of it being the adult and the child that are co-regulating, it's the children co-regulating each other, all right? Now, in this picture right here, this is a lot of product that is produced by Conscious Discipline. You can go to consciousdiscipline.com. You can order pretty much everything you see in this picture right here. You can also go to their website, and there is the theory, the application, the research behind everything you're seeing right here, how to use it, what the intention is. Their website is very, very good, right? This is, this picture right here is a lot of commercial made product. Definitely encourage you to check it out. You can also make teacher made material that you're seeing here on the screen. All right, now we go into, the employee relationships, all right, and how everyone has to work together to build that equitable, emotionally healthy school family. It's about believing in each other. It's about supporting each other. And this is a little bit of an older picture that I found from way, way back, kind of close to the beginning of our journey, our transformational journey. But I kind of forgot about this t-shirt that we made at one point in time. But when I was putting together this presentation for, building and creating the emotionally healthy school family, I was like, oh, wow, this picture is so incredibly perfect. But that t-shirt, we before me, all right, we before me. And I'll give credit to John Gordon and some of his leadership books for the we before me language right there. That's where it came from. But that's what it's all about. And when we talk about having that healthy school family, it's about putting other people first. All right, other people first, and taking care of each other. That is one thing that I am so incredibly proud of with the school family that we built, is that we really did build an environment where people cared for each other and they took care of each other, right? And super awesome. So let's talk about how that happened, because it didn't just happen overnight. Just didn't happen overnight. First, we got to set the example. All right. We've got to live this. We've got to breathe this. We've got to believe in this, right? Not just believe in it. We got to know it, right? You got to know that this is how my school is supposed to be built right here. Beliefs are just thoughts that we have in our head over and over and over again, right? Knowing something is totally different. When we talk about, I just know that I'm supposed to work in early education. I just know that I'm supposed to be married to this person, right? Well, you just got to know that creating an emotionally healthy environment for every single human that comes in this building is the right thing to do, right? So set the example, live it, breathe it, just make it part of your daily life right there. Find your strengths, find your strengths, and everyone has a different strength to contribute to your school family. Whether it's composure, whether it's assertiveness, whether it's positive intent, encouragement right there. Some of you, your strength might be play, right? Some of your strength might be laughter, right? So everyone has something to contribute to the school family. Know your strength and share your strength, all right? Determine what that might be. You might be the type of person that just has this ability to download calm to anyone around you that's in distress. You might have this ability just to see the world from other people's point of view, right? No matter what the circumstance is. And whenever you're having your school family meetings, y'all might call it a staff meeting, but maybe you'll consider changing it to your school family gatherings or your school family meeting. Take 10 or 15 minutes to talk about strengths and weaknesses and lend those skills to each other. Okay? Lend those skills to each other. Maybe you had an aha moment in the classroom where you were able to recognize one of your strengths and put it to work, right? And had some success with that. Share that with each other. Or it might be, I had an oops today, and I'm normally really good at seeing the world from the child's point of view. But yesterday I had a situation and I really struggled to see the world from the child's point of view. Okay? Who's willing to help me? Who's willing to help me with that? All right? So, be vulnerable too. Be vulnerable too. Share that positively contagious energy, right? I just love this right here. And don't be Pollyanna positive, all right? Don't be fake. Don't just go to Buc-ee's and buy a t-shirt that says be positive, be kind, because buying that t-shirt at Buc-ee's is not going to make you a kind person. This is internal, right? This is your own inner state, and your own inner state is yours to manage right there. But, once you are practicing this, that positively contagious energy just becomes an everyday thing, right? Now, when I say share positively contagious energy, we're also human, right? We're also human. There are going to be days, there are going to be moments where there's a dark cloud over you. There are going to be days, there's going to be moments where there's a dark cloud over the people that you're working with, okay? Have a little bit of grace in those situations. Put yourself in their shoes. Be there as a support, all right? Be there as a support. You don't have to jump down the rabbit hole with them, because sometimes people love to jump down that negative rabbit hole with them. All right, but you can definitely be there for them. That's where we come up with this magic ratio of 3 to 1. All right, positive experiences versus negative experiences. Because again, you're going to have negative experiences. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be adversity, right? Again, that's just reality right there. So just know that you want the positive experiences to outweigh the negative experiences. So imagine a fulcrum right here. You want more positive experiences than negative experiences. So keep that 3-to-1 ratio. And if you notice that you have a couple of negative experiences, negative situations in your school, that means you're going to need to contribute more positive experiences to outweigh that. All right? It's almost like you need a little pad of paper and some little tick marks. All right? We had a parent that came in and was upset and, did not use nice words. That was a negative experience. I need to outweigh that with 3 positive experiences. Okay? The oven broke down and the chicken nuggets were cold. All right? Or we had to make a substitution, and chicken nuggets are the children's favorite lunch item, but we had to substitute it with, macaroni and whatever. So that might be a negative experience from the child's point of view, right? So, okay, we need to add 3 more positive experiences to outweigh that. This is a little bit of work, but I promise you're going to see a big difference right there. What eventually happens when you follow the 3-to-1 ratio, all right, you're going to start seeing less negative experiences. Okay? It's really cool because your mind is going to start focusing on the 3 and not focusing on the 1. So it's really cool. Put your school family first. That kind of goes back to the we before me right there. True love is putting someone else before yourself. Now, I know we got a lot of self-love movement going on right now, a lot of taking care of yourself, prioritizing boundaries. And look, I'm all about all of that too. All right. But when it comes to your school family, all right, and building that emotionally healthy school family, your people need you. And that's how I want you to look at that. It's not about, quote unquote, putting someone before yourself. It's being there when you're needed. It's being there when you're needed. And remember, they're usually not going to verbally say, I need you. Watch the body language. Watch the facial expressions. All right? The nonverbal communication that someone is in need and someone needs your presence. And sometimes it's just your smile. Or sometimes it's just a random hug. And while you're hugging them, you say, you got this. You got this. I'm here for you. Right? And that might be all they need right there. Always focus on building those relationships and connections. Building relationships and connections don't just happen one time. All right? You can't make a connection with someone and say, okay, it's there, it's lifelong. This has to happen every single day, all day long. One of the conscious discipline rituals that I think is so fantastic is the I love you rituals. Check that out, consciousdiscipline.com. But doing I love you rituals in the classroom throughout the day with all age groups. It's fantastic for building those meaningful connections with both the children, with the adults. Do I love you rituals with the families. If mom or dad or guardian is coming in one afternoon and their body language and their facial expression is saying, I had a rough day today, hey, just a really quick, simple, 20, 30-second I love you ritual with that family. Y'all, you're changing a life right there. You're changing a life right there. And it might be exactly what they need at that moment. Trust and be trusted. Building an emotionally healthy school family means that we trust each other. All right, but trust again is not automatically given. Trust has to be earned. All right, and all of the stuff that I'm sharing with you in this presentation, all of this is built around building that trust. All right, keeping your word and building your trust. So like when we talked about the daily routine books, if that's what you're publishing in your daily routine book, that better be the routine you're following. All right. Your drop-off arrival procedures, your departure procedures, you kind of need to stick to that because that's going to create trust. When you sell somebody something but then you don't deliver, it destroys trust. When you don't keep your word, it destroys trust, right? Not following that 3-to-1 magic ratio for positive and negative experiences and maybe flipping it to a 1-to-3 ratio, that negativity is going to destroy trust. And you know what I love when you do establish that emotionally healthy school family? It allows you the comfort of holding each other accountable. And always build your school family on a culture of accountability. All right? You're there for each other. Okay? You're there to support each other, encourage each other. But you also are there to say, hey, Leslie, oops, you made a mistake. Okay? How can I support you to learn from that mistake? Right? We kind of need each other to point these things out. And especially if you're in a situation where you're not practicing composure, you're having a hard time maintaining self-control, you're not demonstrating competency at the moment. All right? That culture of accountability that someone will step up and say, whoa, let me tag you out. All right, let me take over this situation and tag you out. All right, it seems like you're frustrated. Let me take over. All right, that's exactly what we need right there. And with that being said, you be humble. All right, don't take offense to it. Don't go into blame and attack mode. Recognize that that person is there to help you, not hurt you. All right? Be humble and hungry for support, for encouragement, for growth. This is one of my favorite life is good quotes right here. Be the person your dog thinks you are. You know, I love that one right there. When we talk about unconditional love, you know, dogs are just a poster child for unconditional love. That's being humble. It's also being vulnerable and open. Last thing, don't sabotage yourself or your school family. Look, there are going to be moments where you have a person that is part of your school family that the decision has been made for them to exit. All right? Either by, the director or the person made that decision themselves to exit your school family and no longer be part of it. Look, whatever the situation may be, whatever the conflict, the disagreement, the situation that created the exit, don't sabotage the school family. Don't sabotage yourself. It's not about you. It's about every human in that building. Most importantly, the children. And when you have someone that wants to throw shade, when they want to stir the pot, when they want to go into blame and attack mode, right? Who are you really hurting? Are you hurting the director? Are you hurting the owner? Are you hurting the other teachers? Or are you hurting the children and the families enrolled in that school? All right? And look, we live in this world of social media. And when the world is not going someone's way, or when someone experiences a event that, in their opinion, it's not a good situation, everyone wants to be a warrior and try to save the day, especially on social media. Are you really saving the day, or are you just making matters worse for the people that are not really involved in your conflict? Okay, so when it's time to exit, it's just time to exit. All right, but think about all of the different people that are involved in the school family, and don't bring them down. And in reality, it brings yourself down. So don't sabotage yourself or your school family just because it's time for you or someone else to move on. All right? Be the better person. All right, great. All right, so that was a lot of good information right there. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. Again, feel free to message me, call me, email me if you have any questions about this material. If you need more information beyond the scope of the training, we are here for you. Again, giving credit to our friends at Conscious Discipline, at Life is Good, at John Gordon, for allowing me to kind of throw your names out there during this training. And really just thank you, because I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for all of those groups. And last thing I want to say, when I talk about the success that we have had with our school family, I got to give a lot of credit and praise to our school family. All right. All of our teachers, all of our leaders, all of our families, our children. No one did this by themselves. It was a group family effort. And I just forever in my heart will love every single one of you. And I'm extremely grateful for the journey. All right. So thank you, everyone. Please share this video with anyone that could benefit from this training. It is being recorded, and so it will be placed on our website later on this afternoon. And so definitely, I just posted the link for the assessment. Those of you that need a training certificate for today, you can go ahead and complete that assessment. There is a $5 fee for the certificate, and so that's up there right now too. Thank you, Pam. That was very kind of you. I appreciate you so much, and so are you. You're a great leader too. I know I've known you for a long time, and it's been a really cool journey. So great. I love this. Claudia says, one child and one coworker at a time. Yes, take it slow. Take it slow. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see all of you very, very soon. Make safe choices, and have a good one. Bye.